Welcome to the Daily Influence, where our mission is to deliver a daily dose of positive influence that can uplift you personally or be shared within your sphere of influence. While not every episode may directly apply to your unique circumstances, we strive to provide insights and inspiration relevant to most people's daily, weekly, and monthly lives. Whether you are tuning in during the morning, noon, or night, the Daily Influence is here for you. Listen, share, and embrace the power of influence in your life.
Hey everybody, Brian Smith here with the I Am Team series and your daily influence. And today we are going to talk about empathy, specifically empathy and leadership, and understanding and supporting your teams. Now, we've talked about empathy in other episodes of the Daily Influence, but never as it relates directly to leadership and supporting teams and how you can apply it and what it actually means to the leadership process. And empathy really is one of the cornerstones of trust that comes within your teams. When you as a leader or people on the team, in whatever role they play, have empathy, it creates a level of trust within the culture that helps move everybody forward. It creates a safer work environment, and safe not in a silly rainbows and butterfly way, but in a true sense of where humans, people, struggle in communication, trust, collaboration, things that influence us every day in our work environments. When we have leaders in the team members or a culture of empathy, then it builds that trust and it allows for people, leaders specifically, to actively listen to their team members, their concerns, their perspective. And that listening and that engagement and that inclusion in the whole understanding process is what fosters that foundation of trust. Open communication and collaboration always goes hand in hand when we see empathy in a culture and an organization. So when we understand individual influence within the team and the role that each person plays and the role that the outer influences and other influences may have on them. And that's what empathy is all about, is understanding that each individual person has other influences that affect them. When we treat understanding that individual influence positively and responsibly, that's what leads to cohesive and a trusting environment. One of the best ways, as you know, we beat this over everybody, is applying smart management to this listening, this management process, understanding the specifics, the measurements, the attainability, the relativity and realism and the timeliness that goes on in our organizations, and challenging everything we do in a smart way. One of the better things that empathy is and provides for us is a path to conflict resolution. When we employ empathy to conflict, and conflict is inevitable on any team, but when we approach these situations with empathy, we can resolve issues more effectively. We understand the emotions and the motivations that people have. This is where we get back to understanding those individual influences that face our team, that face those individuals. And when we understand it and we approach that understanding with empathy, we can mediate conflicts in a way that is more fair, more constructive, more accountable. And it ensures that while everybody's heard, everybody understands the outcome, which is really the most important. While not everybody may like the outcome, it's important that they understand it, and they understand it within the context in a smart environment, why these things happen, why these decisions are made, why this influence is going to be what it is. And smart helps move us into that conflict resolution because it allows for everybody to understand all aspects of the issue. And we never leave anybody behind. Because when we leave people behind, we're not being empathetic. When we pull them together, we strengthen the team bonds. And empathy allows us to address those bonds, to understand the root causes of the conflict, but also to pull everybody into the improvements. And these include short and long-term improvements for teams, which create a culture of continuous improvement within your team dynamics. Empathy also goes beyond just understanding. It involves supporting team members in their personal and professional growth. Leaders will understand when team members struggle with improvement, struggle with accountability. And when leaders show interest in that development, in what those struggles are, in any influence that is getting in the way of positive movement for an individual, when we help them through empathy, we actually lean into a culture of positive understanding, which creates positive organizational cultures. Responsible influence is the same thing. We have a responsibility as leaders to be aware, to have situation awareness of what's going on with our teams, not just in the area of influence within our building, but what's influencing them externally that they could potentially be bringing into our organizations. And while we might, and some people do say, outside interests don't have a place here, they may not, but they still do. Humans don't just leave their problems at the door. Some can, and some are good at it. But the reality is that most of us bring them into our areas of work, which means that they become an issue within that area of influence, and they have a potential to cause deeper issues. And if leaders recognize when we have team members that have these struggles, then we can help support personal and professional growth, help them work through whatever the issues are so that they come out the other side improved and better. SMART also supports this by asking good questions, specific questions, asking if there's ways that you can help, understanding if it's attainable, sharing with them what is attainable, what's realistic, and the amount of time that it's going to take to support that person's goals within your organization's objectives and what you can do for them individually. Of course, all empathy requires effective communication, which means that all empathetic leaders are effective communicators. You will tailor your communication style to meet the team's need at the moment that it requires the empathy. That's using your emotional intelligence to balance yourself when you're communicating. That includes tone, words, body language. You have to be situationally aware because when we have team members that are fragile, that are in a area of negative influence where they are being affected by something that requires that empathy, the littlest thing can push them in the wrong direction. So being aware of your own communication, how you can help them, how you can speak to them, how you can guide them through the problem so that it can be improved and get them back to where they'll be more comfortable, more positive, and more responsible for what their area of influence is within your organization and outside too. And that's a key point. It's not just about fixing them for your organization. It's not about fixing them at all. It's about supporting them through the issue so that they come out whole, so that they resolve that issue for their benefit, which as a byproduct will be a benefit for you and your organization too. SMART, again, comes into play here. It's very important that we don't forget that SMART is the underlying foundation of everything we do. And when it is, we understand with clarity and within context where we are and where we need to go. And finally, empathy is not just about understanding, it's about driving action. Leaders who empathize with their team's challenges and aspirations are better equipped to create an environment that fosters creativity and innovation. By understanding what motivates each team member, we can provide the right resources and support to encourage the innovative thinking. If we are empathetic to what's in their way and we support them through continuous improvement and that type of support that may start with empathy, we can create people who will invest themselves into our organizations, give us more, and innovate for us and make us better, which will make them better too. And when they do this with SMART, everybody knows everybody can follow along. When we have a safe space for people to communicate, collaborate, invest, trust, we have a culture of empathy, a culture of leadership, and a culture that is built on some core values that you can define, that everybody will understand, and that will allow you to have a smart cohesive, continuously improving organization that will stay successful regardless of what you face. I hope you've enjoyed today's talk about empathy and using empathy in leadership to build and grow your teams. Hope you'll join us again tomorrow and we'll have a new topic. Have a good one.